This is the Speak to Influence podcast where you learn to be heard, trusted, and taken seriously. I'm Karen Sachs, your host, and I just wanted to ask an important question. How many of you have spoken from the stage? How many of you were nervous when you did it? I certainly was. People assume that great speakers are fearless, but that's not true. They're just trained. Now, if you have nerves when you speak, that doesn't mean that you're a bad speaker. It means that you care about what you're doing. Stage fright is just the body's way of reacting to a performance. That's when the heart starts to beat really fast and your breathing becomes shallow. It's when your mouth becomes dry and your hands start to shake and get sweaty. It's also a time when most speakers start speaking a lot faster. They start to ramble and over-explain. That is why today I'm going to teach you how to be a better speaker when you're on stage. And I want to clarify that on stage doesn't necessarily have to mean on a physical stage in front of 1,000 people. It could just be a meeting of a dozen people. That's still being on stage. Or a sales call. That's being on stage. You have to be prepared in interviews and meetings. All of them put you on stage. And that's where I want you to feel most comfortable. So let's get started. Now, first of all, why do you get stage fright? Your brain looks at the situation and reacts to the thought of social judgment. Now, not to be accepted in a social group was deadly in primitive ages and primitive places. So your brain goes into fight or flight mode. It gets defensive. The cortisol starts building up in your body where you can potentially forget things. And the adrenaline makes your heart and your breath and your breathing faster. That's when things start to get ugly. That's what you need to control. You can be nervous, but control those outside things that are there. And if you've been nervous, don't worry. It's not the first time that you're not the only person who gets nervous. Studies have shown that up to 75% of people worldwide have speaking anxiety. That's a whole lot of people. There are people who are more afraid of speaking to others than they are of dying. It's that big a deal. So you can do it if they can do it. And that's what I want to help you do today. Learn how to be skilled through your nervousness. Now, what are we going to do here? What happens when you sound nervous? Now, you will start to talk a lot faster. That's the most common thing. Then you won't even realize that you're doing it. You may become more susceptible to losing your train of thought. You may want to try to sound impressive and sound smarter. You may want to make the presentation sound very complex to make yourself sound smart. That's not the way to do it. Simple is smart. You want to focus on shorter sentences, taking deep breaths before you start, and really keeping your posture good because that's where your breathing becomes better. You want to make sure that you have all of the right thoughts in your head psychologically to be ready for what you're going to do. You're going to speak from your diaphragm and not from your throat. Those are the things that you need to be doing to fight the nerves that are jumping into your head. Because here's the truth. People who speak at a normal pace share credibility with others. If they pause, they create confidence. If they use short sentences, they create clarity. And if they breathe deeply and have breath control, they sound smarter and more composed. You want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself during this time because you are serving others. This isn't about how good do I sound. This is about how well am I serving my audience. So that's where you're going to want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself so that you can be the best speaker for them. So let's talk about what the 7 big hints are to being a better speaker. The first one, pause before you start. Walk onto the stage or the front of the room slowly. Face your audience, take a breath, and then start speaking. You've got to be a very experienced speaker to run up onto the stage and start speaking right away. So don't try to do it if you're not there yet. But take that moment. It's going to seem like an eternity to you. To them, it won't seem long at all. It will seem like you are being intentional. The second thing that you want to do is speak slower than you normally do. It's going to seem like you're not speaking fast, but adrenaline is very disillusioning. So definitely bring your speed down a little bit to sound more intentional about what you're doing. The next thing is to start with one clear sentence. Don't go up there and say, thank you for having me. Know what you're going to say before you stand up on that stage. Know that one clear, strong sentence that you are going to make that makes them look at you twice and know that you've got it together. The next thing you want to do is pause. Pause creates composure. It shows people that you have confidence. Pause in the middle of your sentences before thoughts and after thoughts creates the impression of intentionality. It emphasizes that that was a key point. Hey, Vic, welcome. I'm glad you're here. You want to make sure that you are pausing to show people what you've got and where you are. You've got to think about your posture. You want to keep your shoulders down and your jaw relaxed. Because when you tense up, you definitely you sound more higher, your octave is higher. You sound very breathy. That does not instill confidence in people. You want to make sure that you are having the right set of pauses to make you strong and posture to make you sound clear in what you're doing. Use short sentences. Too many people want to make themselves sound smart. So they babble all this jargon and they make these long sentences and they sound very professional at what they're doing. Stop trying to sound smart. Simple is smart. Keep it simple for people to understand you. Don't make them have to decode what you're saying. And finally, you want to focus on service ahead of performance. Don't ask yourself, boy, I wonder how I'm doing. Ask yourself, how am I serving others in this room? What am I providing to them that is valuable? So, what do you do when you forget what you're saying? Because it's going to happen. Even the greatest presenters have lost track every now and then. So, what you want to do first and foremost is not panic. You want to pause and wait. It's going to seem like an eternity to you, but to the audience, it's just going to seem like you're being intentional. Pause for a moment to get your thoughts together. If you really can't remember where you were, then reiterate what your core message of the presentation is. and then start speaking about what you do remember. Because it doesn't matter. The people on this in the audience have no idea what you were going to say today. They didn't see your script or your outline. So if you miss a section, they're not going to know about it. If you jumped ahead and then filled it in so it was backwards, they don't know. So don't pretend that they do. Make sure that you control yourself when you've made a flub, because it's going to happen. It happened to me a few months ago, and I will tell you, it was terrifying. And I've done this 1,000 times, but it happened. But I didn't panic. I relaxed. I stood there for what seemed like an eternity. And afterwards, someone complimented me on my pause because it made me seem very intentional and that it was for emphasis. So it's not as bad as you think it is. Just go with the flow. You'll remember it. Now, what do advanced speakers do? There are a few tips that make you stand out. First and foremost, eye contact. Eye contact is the most important thing, in my opinion, when you are presenting. Now, don't just keep scanning the crowd like this. That's just going to make it look like you are watching a ping pong game. What you want to do is make eye contact with someone, connect with them while you are speaking. And after you have finished your thought, move on to the next person. Make sure that you're looking at different places in the room. Do something called the triangle method, where you start to the left, you find someone straight ahead, you find someone to the right, and then you go center again. So you're going back with the triangle, but making actual eye contact with another person until you have finished your point for emphasis. Another thing that's very important is vocal variety. Now, there are two parts to that. People always say, oh, you want me to be more excited and you want me to speak a little bit louder. Well, that's one thing. But don't forget the strength of a quiet whisper. You should be mic'd in this. And if you're not, if you're just in a small meeting, make sure the people in the back of the room can hear you. But still, a whisper is wonderful for impact. It creates emotion. You want to make sure that you have the vocal variety that is most important to your presentation. So make sure that you're doing that. The second thing is structured movements. Now, if you're not locked behind a lectern, you want to make sure that you are moving around on the stage. Now, don't pace like a caged animal, but calmly walk, turn to the other side of the audience. Make sure that they're seeing that you're paying attention to every side of it. And with your arms, do something with your arms. Don't just be flapping your hands around. Use your arms when you're speaking. Raise them slightly, open them up, point to make an emphasis. You want to make sure that you are providing the structure that you need with structured movements. Excuse me, one moment. And when possible, make sure that you have a drink nearby. Okay, moving on. Some other things that advanced speakers have is emotion control. Now, several of my presentations over my career have had emotional stories in them. It makes no sense to me in my presentation if I start to sob. I need to control my emotions. That doesn't mean that they don't see the emotion on my face, but I have control of myself. I'm not sobbing. I'm not losing control of the conversation. I'm not losing control of what I'm saying. I am moving through constantly. The other side of that is excitement. Sometimes people get so giddy when they're ready to speak that they get really excited on it and their voice goes higher. That's another part of emotion that you want to control. And yes, Vicky just said hydration is always important. It's critical. Make sure you have it. And it's okay to have it with you and excuse yourself to take a break. You don't want to move forward with dry mouth because you're going to start losing your breath and the depth of your voice. Now, what else? Breathing. You want to make sure that you're breathing from your diaphragm. It changes the strength of your voice. It brings it an octave down a little bit so that it sounds more serious, as opposed to speaking up here, which sounds kind of a little thin and not very serious. So you want to make sure that you're breathing and make sure that you don't start speaking if you don't have enough breath in your lungs. Because what happens is you'll start talking, and as you're going, you suddenly run out of breath, and you've got to take a quick breath in the middle of what you're saying. Also, as you're speaking and you feel that you're losing your breath, that can make you nervous. So don't do that. Pause, relax, take a deep breath before you begin to speak. And if you find that you're getting a little breathy while you're speaking, don't hesitate to pause a bit and take another breath. You want to keep the quality of your voice strong. Another thing that advanced speakers do is they respect the silence. It is okay to pause. Weak speakers feel the need to fill every tiny space. If there's silence, they get nervous. Don't get nervous. Use silence for emphasis. Use it to punctuate what you're saying. Make sure that people clearly have a chance to digest what you're saying. And finally, speak with authority. Now, authority does not mean aggression. It means confidence, being sure in what you are saying, and people will sense that. The people in the room mirror the speaker. If the speaker is tense and not sure what they're saying, they seem a little timid, they aren't sure, they use a lot of filler words. That tells the audience that the speaker is not really prepared or ready. And when that happens, they start feeling uncomfortable. But when your presenter is calm, relaxed, takes a pause, makes a point, has vocal variety, uses short thoughts and concise language to be clear and not try to over impress anybody, not over explain, not ramble. That is a confident speaker, and the room will be relaxed and feel confident with that person. You want to take advantage of that. Your presence as a speaker makes all the difference to the audience. You could be telling them absolute BS, but if you do it with confidence, they will believe you. I'm not saying that's what you should do. That is not honest. But the way you present it really makes a sense. Calm speakers seem more intelligent, and that is what you want. You want people to think of you as intelligent and calm. Weak speakers over-explain, fill in the gaps, never take a pause, speak very fast. Those are things that you don't want to be. You've got to remember now that we've got AI. And in the age of AI, live speaking is even more important. AI can produce text really fast, but it cannot do the same thing as human presence does. So you want to make sure that you are being human and real and live where possible. Now, in my podcasts, I made a conscious choice to do live at all times. Live can be a little nerve-wracking. I'm a little nervous. You've heard some flubs. You've heard me take a moment and try to put my words together, but it's real. You know that I am real. I haven't taken this and edited it. Vicky said live speaking builds trust, and that is absolutely true. It helps people know that you're a real person with flaws and warts, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but they're more inclined to trust you because they see all of you. So I highly recommend that if you're doing a podcast that you go live. Now, live includes when you're online. These days, a lot of meetings and interviews are online. Live is still real online, and you need to follow all the same rules that I've talked about, because just because you're on screen doesn't mean that you can be a weak speaker. You want to be strong in what you're doing. And in the age of AI, human delivery is going to make a huge difference. So why be a great speaker? First of all, leadership. Great leaders have great communication skills. Then there are podcasts, there are meetings, there are sales calls, there are teaching sessions, there are job interviews. There are all kinds of things that you may not think of as speaking on stage, but you don't have to have a big stage and 1,000 people in front of you. When you are speaking to a group, whether you're speaking to 3 people or you're speaking to 3,000 people, you want to employ the exact same thing in what you're doing. Now, here's something really important to remember. You don't get confident and then speak. You keep speaking and you become confident. Even the best speakers that you know of, there was a time when they were awkward and made mistakes and flubbed lines and forgot what they were saying. But they have trained themselves, and now they have the speaking je ne sais quoi that you want to have. But you're not going to do it if you don't keep trying. So do it. Be prepared. Keep trying. The goal is not to remove nervousness from your presentations. The goal is to channel those nerves into presentation skills, into vocal variety, into emotion. Yes, Vicky, practice builds confidence. Absolutely. Thank you. You want to make sure that you believe in yourself, because that is the first step. Knowing that you can do it, knowing that you know what you want to say, and knowing that you're providing a service to the people who are listening to you. It is not about being perfect. The people have other things on their minds. They're not focusing on whether your left eye is twitching. They're focusing on your words. Just pay attention to that. Just service them in the best way that you can. Believe in yourself. Keep speaking. Keep trying, and keep getting better. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much to all of you who I see. Thank you for being part of the Speak to Influence podcast today, where we teach you to be heard, trusted, and taken seriously. Now, one of the ways that you can take advantage of other skills beyond listening to my podcast is going to my Substack webpage at karensachs.substack.com. There in the links, you'll have an opportunity to join the free Act Like a Great Communicator community, as well as the web store to see our free and paid resources. So please take advantage of that. Check it all out. See what's there. Keep watching me on the podcast. Keep reading my articles, and I'll keep reading yours. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend.